Travelling on Great Northern Trains as a wheelchair user. When you think of the name Great Northern Trains, many will assume they cover the north of the country. However, you'd be wrong, as the most northern station the company travels to is King's Lynn. The company actually covers North London, Hertfordshire, Cambridgeshire and Norfolk. They got their name from the Great Northern Railway, who were the original builders of the line from London to York in the 19th century. Obviously back then, trains running from London to York were all run by the same company, whereas nowadays the route is split up and served in various parts by various companies. Great Northern Trains are owned by Govia Thameslink Railway Limited, who also run Thameslink, Southern and Gatwick Express trains, with all four companies covering many parts of the south east, east and south of England. I travelled with them from Ely, just north of Cambridge, to London King's Cross on a Friday evening, getting into King's Cross at around 6 p.m. in February 2025. I was travelling on one of their Class 387 trains, which form their main rolling stock used on the London to King's Lynn and London to Peterborough routes. However, on February the 10th this year, they did reintroduce their Class 379s back onto some of these routes too. I booked assistance for my trip on the Passenger Assistance app a few days before I travelled, and this was confirmed really quickly. There are no seat reservations on Great Northern Trains, but staff at both stations knew to expect me travelling on that day. However, booking assistance isn't necessary, and many passengers turn up without booking in advance and just alert staff when they arrive at the station that they require assistance. Many people wrongly assume that passenger assistance is just for those who are wheelchair users, and the only assistance offered is a ramp on and off the train. However, there are many ways staff can assist passengers at train stations. These include helping with buying tickets, getting on and off the train, assisting passengers around the station, supporting those who are blind or visually impaired, helping passengers with onward travel from the station, and helping you with small amounts of luggage. There isn't a seating plan for Great Northern Trains online, so I made my own. This is the end part of the carriage, as the main seating past the wheelchair accessible spaces isn't accessible because the walkway is too narrow, but there is no need to go down there because everything a wheelchair user needs is at the end of the carriage. There are 2 wheelchair accessible spaces on Class 387 trains in each accessible carriage, and trains can have 1 or 2 of these carriages depending on their length. When you board the train up the ramp, you'll see the 2 wheelchair spaces opposite each other. Staff helping you on will make sure they are clear, as wheelchair users have priority by law. You can see the wheelchair space is large both in width and depth. Even with other people sitting on the seats opposite me, there is at least a metre of space between our feet. There is a fold-up seat on the wall of the train for passengers to use when the space isn't needed by a wheelchair user, and this doesn't affect the width of the space at all, as the wall sticks out at the bottom anyway. There are also 2 plug sockets, although the one on the right is for people sitting on the seats facing you. The table is in a fixed position for wheelchair users, however there is enough space between the wall and the table to not have this affect you, and it is high enough that my legs went under it with plenty of space to spare. On top of the table on the wall, you'll find the passenger alarm. This is there to contact the driver if you have an emergency or if you reach your station and there isn't a member of staff to help you off. There is a second alarm higher up in the corner between the wall your wheelchair leans against and the side of the train, although the table one is much easier to reach. There is a storage rack above the space that runs the length of the carriage, however this isn't accessible from sitting, although you can see my luggage easily fit on the floor in front of my wheelchair, so it didn't matter that I couldn't reach the luggage rack. The disabled toilet is found at the end of the carriage, the other side of the train doors from the wheelchair spaces, and is easy to get to from there as the walkways are wide enough to allow a wheelchair user to roll through. The door opens with electric push buttons, and inside you'll find the toilet that has grab bars on the far side of the wall and a movable bar on the near side to allow users to side transfer, and there is enough space to position your chair to the side of the toilet and transfer across. You'll also find a baby changing table behind the toilet that folds down. The sink is in the corner, and again this is operated with the same style push buttons as the door controls. There is a small mirror above the sink, and to the right of this you'll find tissues in a bin. There are 2 emergency alarms in the toilet, one on the floor and one in the middle of the wall, that if pressed go through to the driver to alert them that somebody needs help. To the left of the wall alarm are the door controls. The open and close buttons are the same push style ones as the outside controls in the sink. However, the door lock isn't a push button, but a lever that you move right to lock and left to open. To the left of the controls is an accessible coat hook with a full-length mirror to the left of that. There are grab bars on the wall opposite the sink too, which are helpful when you enter the toilet, as obviously trains don't roll along in a completely smooth fashion, and so these bars help you keep your balance. The floor had some water on it from people washing their hands before me, but I didn't slip whilst rolling, as the floor is made from an anti-slip material. We pulled into London King's Cross, and as it was a busy train and this was the final stop, I let everyone else off first to make it easier for the member of staff to place the ramp down for me to roll off. The staff member was waiting on the platform as we pulled in, ready to help me get off the train, because the staff at Ely had radioed ahead to let them know which carriage I was in. As like I mentioned, there aren't reserved spaces on Great Northern trains like some other train operators, where staff would know my carriage in advance. Sometimes staff have to use the ramp stored on the trains, and other times have to use the ones stored on the platform. It all depends on the train operator, train and station. The same with some stations, it's the train guard that has to get you off, and not the station staff, because of insurance. The person who got me off asked if I needed assistance from the platform, but I was getting on an onward train from St Pancras, which is next door, and I knew where I needed to go, so I didn't require further assistance. I thanked him and rolled off my next train down to London Bridge. If I was catching another train out of King's Cross, or if I needed help getting to the taxi rank, etc., they would have helped me with this. As I approached the ticket barriers, I got my e-ticket ready on my phone to scan and headed towards the accessible ticket gate. These are normally situated at the end of the row of the gates, and you'll often find a member of staff standing by them, which makes them easy to spot when it's busy too. You can also see their location by looking up at the sign that runs the length of the gates on the ceiling, which indicates where they are by showing a wheelchair and luggage symbol, which is really helpful when it's busy like it was this evening. I then scanned my ticket, headed through the barrier and rolled off, making my way over to St Pancras. Overall, I was really impressed with Great Northern Trains. I only travelled with them to record this video, as they don't serve the area I live or where I travel often to, so this was my first experience of them. Their website is really informative and has some really easy to navigate pages on accessibility, with information like how to book assistance and what to expect when travelling, along with brilliant in-depth and accessible videos about travelling on their trains and assisted travel. Their website also has a page for each station they serve with comprehensive information like accessibility, station facilities and onward travel information. Their customer service online is great as well. When I was trying to find out if they had seating plans for their trains to include in this video, they wanted to know more about the video and provided links to their assisted travel pages to help. They also informed me that they are currently making audio-described videos to help passengers who are blind or visually impaired find their way around their trains from the doors to the accessible seating. Whilst my trip with them was a one-off, from speaking to other people who use them often, they spoke highly about station staff and how helpful and friendly they are, and this was my experience too. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a really great day.